much about it.
There is, I think it's biblical. There's a story of somebody who has all of their money. They have to escape a ship, and they've got gold strapped to their belt, and they jump off and they start to sink because of their wealth.
The gold, yeah.
But they won't.
They won't let go. Yeah.
Release their belt, so they drown with.
They
their
drown
gold.
with the gold.
So
because they keep giving value
into objects. So the value within the Bible comes from the knowledge, not from the pages, not from it being revealed by God through men. It's not that. The value is the instruction. So the presence of the Holy Spirit, I'm not getting religious, enables you to live a different life. It's not an instruction manual. There's nothing that if we got rid of the Bible today, please God it never happens, we could reconstruct it anyway from the letters of the church fathers, from ancient manuscripts, from other things. So what, like if somebody threatened to come here and burn a pile of I don't know, Sun newspapers, it wouldn't have the same emotional response.
Well, definitely not. People don't see the sun as. Hopefully, they don't see the sun as, the word of God.
But the fact is that encourages, and I'm not saying this about James, but if I now want to trigger somebody, I can now say, well, actually, I've got 10 of them at home, and how do you know that I'm not going to go home and X,
burn,
Y,
yeah.
Z? Which I don't, because I've got smoke detectors, and what's the point? But the point is that it's only the emotional response. So bullies get a response by threatening. So anybody who threatens him, and he's made a threat against a book. So it's slightly different, but it's still. Why are we all standing talking about it? He's not here doing it. Hopefully, and not because of death threats, he won't do it anyway because really the value in it is minimal. Like just the threat has done enough to get people talking about it. So it's kind of highlighted the fact that there's an inequality in literature even.
Yeah, look, I understand your point of view, but
do you think he
I don't think
have even said it?
No, he can say it if he wants.
So where do
it's
we
not
differ?
about words, it's
Where do
about
we differ?
what if he actually did it.
But where do
I
we
think
differ?
that's the okay, where do we differ? I
you
think the
believe it
main
should be
point
illegal?
the main point where we differ is that I don't think it's beneficial for his cause.
What is his cause?
His cause is to question religion, specifically Islam. He likes to question Islam. He likes to.
Isn't he?
Huh?
He's getting an
not
answer.
good at- it's
So hold on, so it's furthering his cause. He wants to know what happens if I say this, and now he probably knows without even doing anything. So
Yeah, but look, the problem with that is he's questioning Islam for people who already aren't following Islam. So it's
why?
basically.
According to this gentleman, there's
No,
maybe
look.
millions of Muslims
That's
who are
wait.
listening to his
Let me
words,
finish.
which is a
That's
bit
not
of
what
an
I mean. That's not what I mean.
exaggeration.
He's questioning. He's saying if he burns the Quran, he'll be attacked. Blah blah blah. All that
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
And it's true.
And
Fair
that's
enough.
very
It
sad.
probably
That's
will
an
happen.
indictment of our
Yeah, it's pretty
society.
bad. I don't agree with it. It's pretty sad. But it doesn't. He's not debunking Islam for Muslims. He's debunking Islam for non-Muslims, and thus it doesn't have any intrinsic value.
He's debunking the emotional attachment to a set of people.
To non-Muslims, they already aren't following Islam, so it won't change anything.
I know of cases where there are Muslims who are quite horrified by the reaction of fellow adherents in different countries, where it's a more stricter version or a different version of Islam. So Sunnis quite happily condemn Shia violence, etc.
And Shia condemns Sunni
Yes, of
violence,
course.
yeah,
So what
we
I'm
know
saying
about
is there
that.
may be Muslims who are positively in James's worldview.
Well, of course, on the
affected
surface,
by this.
everybody's going to condemn.
Because no, but on the surface they may also
At least
say
on the
that,
surface.
but they may see the condemnation of others as too violent. They may see that if James's prediction of violence came true, that's a sad indictment on their own cultural practices. Because I don't know that the Quran says Ali might help me out. It doesn't say like attack anyone who threatens to like do anything.
I don't know.
No, not threatens. I'm assuming that he actually did it.
Tear up the Quran, and we know that it's a miracle. The Quran says it's a miracle, like Allah says it's a miracle. But just threatening it's not like Sikhism where it's a guru and it's.
It's a book. You burn it.
But what if you just threaten?
We're coming from the premise that he actually did it. That's the premise with which I'm starting.
Look, he's saying that the word is eternal, which is the same. as
Yeah,
Christians.
but look again. We're having something very similar to a religious debate. Religion is absolutely
It's
subjective
whether
to
or
each
not
person.
The book is important enough to be physically attacked over.
You heard
It's
of
not for me,
And it's
but
not
for
for
many
me.
people it is. It's,
And
you
those
might
people
say
have
it's
to
not
get
for you,
over
but
it.
many Christians
Those people
would
are
attack
told-
other people for attacking their book.
I would suggest that potentially those people should go and find Muslims who are being persecuted rather than books that are being threatened and help those people and have some righteous indignation for those atrocities.
Yeah, I don't agree on
Rather-
James being I don't agree on James being threatened for threatening to rip up the Quran. I don't agree with that at all. Now, if he actually did it, then it would be another conversation. I would still be on James's side because I don't give any intrinsic value to the Quran, but I would understand the problem of the situation. It's that people don't think the same way. People are not the same.
That's fine, but when you live in a society that deems certain behaviours illegal, certain protected legally, so as we read out before, it's not prohibited to ridicule, insult, other people's religions, or to coercively argue with them to try to make them see your point of view. If his point of view and his ridicule or insulting of a certain religious text, if it goes into a physical act, it's still not illegal, but I would say it's ill-advised. But at the same time, he's definitely proving a point because he hasn't actually done anything. So his two sentences are causing this big hoo-ha, and the guy hasn't done anything. So he's proving that even irreligious people, non-religious people, Christians, anybody else is also interested in whether it happens because they need
Okay,
to
look,
pick a
let's
side.
approach this from a different perspective. I don't think I'm explaining myself well
I
enough.
hear what you're saying.
No, I'm trying to actually explain something different than this. If you make people doubt money, money loses all of its value.
Yeah.
But if you burn a pile of money before its value is lost, you are seen in a very bad light. You know, you're seen as destruction of property or whatever, whatnot.
Banknotes in this country.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
I do.
If you debunk the Quran and make people stop seeing value in it, instead of actually destroying the book itself and making a martyr out of the object, it has a much bigger impact. It has a
You
much
advocate
bigger
that course of
message.
I think having conversations are better than actual doing actions that could.
Do you believe that conversations are better than physical violence against people?
It depends the reason. I don't
Because
advocate
of religious
physical.
differences.
I don't advocate physical violence.
Right, the Quran
My opinion about burning the Quran. I've got to say one thing. There is something about, this is maybe a bit controversial, about doing violence against someone who rips the Quran or burns the Quran, because it's the fear of doing that act, being attacked stops that person from doing that action. Now, I think it's more easier for someone to rip up the Bible and not get harmed and
Because Christians are commanded to forgive.
Well, it's more than that. It's just that they won't get. There's no risk.
There's no.
But
I think there's some risk even
violence.
ripping up the Bible, but I think there's less risk in ripping the Bible than ripping the Quran.
I think in some ways it validates the Quran more that there's a threat that other Muslims will harm you if you damage
I
it,
think it makes
because they
it less
respect
valid,
it. They
because
see
it
it
shows
as
that
the word
it's
of God.
But
No,
God
I don't
is
agree.
about
I don't
love,
agree.
surely.
I don't agree there should be violence.
Do you
But I think there's something
I've
to
got a
that.
question.
No,
Do you think Allah would condone
let me just say.
violence against somebody?
I think there's something to that fear of violence, protecting the word of God,
Right.
because you see the Quran as holy, and I think Christianity has lost that in some way. And Bob might agree with me about like there's not so much respect for Christianity, there's not so much respect for the Bible.
The Bible is separate from Christianity.
Okay, I don't know. My knowledge of the Bible isn't.
So what I'm saying is, it's not viewed in the same way.
Right.
It's not viewed as a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's because the Quran is revealed through one person only, whereas the Bible has more than 60 different authors.
Right.
There are also times when the state has sanctioned the removal of certain books from the Bible and the reinsertion of those same books again, depending on which kind of Christian you are. So tampering with, changing the Bible, like as in removing books, but it's all by the way. The fact is that I would like to know, do you believe as a Muslim that Allah would condone any violence against somebody who had damaged intentionally damaged the Quran?
I don't know. I can't
Have a guess.
from what Allah would want
Of
to.
his, of the character of his that is shown in the Quran that you know of, do you believe he would say, don't hurt that person, forgive them, or don't hurt that person because I'll deal with them on Judgment Day, or yep, go ahead and hurt them? Like, just a rough feeling.
I think the language of the Quran is a lot. There's a lot about you reap what you sow. It's quite different from the Bible.
Do you
which
reap
is,
it from other sinners, or do you reap it from Allah?
I don't know. That.
This is definitely turning into a
Let me go back to the
discussion
point.
now.
Let me give an analogy, for example. You remember Muhammad Hijab?
There's no farmyard animals, are there?
No.
Muhammad Hijab,
Yeah, Muhammad Hijab and Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And
But Muhammad Hijab inviting Jedi to an MMA fight.
No. And there was Jedi defending himself against this Muslim guy who attacked him, right? And then he held him back or something. There was something that happened.
Oh, you
And
mean
then-
Ahmed Ali?
Ahmed Ali, right?
Oh, I know what happened.
Yeah.
So basically, it was like this. Ahmed Ali punched Uncle Omar in the face because
Right.
Uncle Omar said something about his mom,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, exactly the example that I was giving a while ago. You
mature,
remember?
so
I know.
mature.
Well, Ahmed Ali, he has a few
No, I'm
loose
saying
screws,
it's mature
honestly.
to insult people. Like, it's just
Well,
insult them. To
okay,
their face,
sure.
and they're gonna-
He shouldn't have punched him.
so-
Still,
No,
He
of course not. But I just
if
thought
somebody
for an
insults you,
elderly
insult them
gentleman,
better. That's
for
my
an
way of
older
seeing things.
person to start using mum cusses.
Yeah, that's
is
Uncle Jihad for you.
mum.
That's just how it is.
I know. Yeah, he likes.
That's just how it is. But anyway,
Yeah,
what happened?
So, Ahmed Ali, Jedi insulted Ahmed Ali's
Yeah,
mother.
no, wait. It wasn't exactly like that. So Ahmed Ali punched Uncle Omar, right? Some time went by. Jedi came near Ahmed Ali, started virtue signaling to him. Oh, you punched an old Muslim brother. Oh, that's violence. Ahmed Ali started, getting really pissed off. It's on video, actually. You guys can watch it. And he said, Jedi, oh, you stood there like a bitch. And everybody's like, oh, and Jedi like, oh, fucking hell. And then, Jedi turns to Ahmed Ali. Ahmed Ali Pisha. The only bitch is your mom.
Why
And,
would you not want to come here, people? I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun times here. MMA corner. But anyway.
An analogy.
Yeah, and then Ahmed Ali tried to punch Jedi. He missed. He punched another guy near Jedi. And then another guy started punching Ahmed Ali. Then it was a big fight.
everyday kind of
Jedi
occurrence, really.
held him in.
Yeah, Jedi held him and threw him at the floor eventually.
And then a teacher came along, and then dinner time was finished.
And then the week after, I think it was the week after, a bunch of Muslims came to the park.
Yeah, a big group.
Muhammad Taweed, Abdul Hakim, and some
Oh,
other
Taweed, he
young
was
guys.
really unhinged on that day. He was like, Ahmed Ali Pishas, his mom is your mom.
He used Scooby-Doo's actual voice.
Oh God, it was pretty close to that actually. That sounded like Scooby-Doo. Sorry, okay, no more interruption. I'm not
Yeah,
getting
sorry.
interruption.
And Muhammad Hijab confronted Jedi and said, tried to challenge him, and because he saw it that as he was defending the Muslims in that sense from attack, and there was something to that because he was trying to intimidate. I don't know if he did or not. He tried to intimidate Jedi, and he was trying to show, look, if you try to play with the Muslims or try to attack the Muslims, this is what's going to happen. And this, I don't know if there was some success to that, but he was trying to send a message that if you harm Muslims, this is what will happen. And I'm trying to analyse that to what's happening with
I will
God.
answer that.
So
And I think there was something-
what's your idea of the situation? What do you think?
Do you see-
Was what he did right? What Muhammad Hijab did the right thing to
Are
do?
you saying the ends justified the means?
I think it's complicated. I think what it may display to some Muslims, look here, you're defending the Ummah here, but to other people, like maybe non-Muslims, it may make it appear that Islam is violent, aggressive. You've got a
Just
group,
that Mohammed Hijab likes an MMA fight.
and
To invite people to an MMA
It
fight,
was-
not necessarily
it
likes
was-
an MMA fight.
No, but he challenged him. He was getting like this in his face.
Yeah.
Vest on.
Bro, okay, let me tell you
Anyway,
something.
can I
If
just
they
say-
wanted to fight, they would fight right then and there.
just
No,
outside,
man,
They
away
didn't want
from
to
the-
fight, they wanted to play it for the
but have you
camera.
noticed, it was all orchestrated because 7 hours. They all planned that. Those guys hadn't been in park for months, even for a year.
I know.
Hakim and Taweed.
Yeah, man.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
just
go ahead.
say that you were saying that it could be supposed that people think, you'll see the ramifications of insulting a certain group of people,
Yeah.
or maybe people will think to us. I personally, and I believe deep down you also you would rather live in a society where people were able to self-regulate. So whether they were able to, on the basis of the available information, make a decision as to whether I feel like insulting that person, and I can work through the potential consequences. Not that he's going to bring all his mates round, not that he's going to bring all of his religious adherents.
Were you there that day?
No, maybe not. I don't know.
I was.
But the fact is that
I know exactly what happened.
I'd rather live by laws and regulations that prohibit violence,
Right.
no matter what.
Funny
not because
day.
someone's not because somebody's threatening me not to,
Yeah.
but because the state says if I do, I can happily punch whoever I like in the face and take the consequences.
But listen to this. That Mohammed Hijab posted a video of those events, and that video got 880,000 views. 880,000
Well, of
views.
course, my most popular
But it
video
sent
is
a
when I
message.
almost fight with Omar. People like to see that stuff.
But that sent a message. Didn't it? It sent a
Yeah,
message.
for the thumbnail.
So
Pavlov hits a
in
woman.
In some ways, it worked, then, didn't it? Because it showed people that if you mess with Muslims,
controlling people.
you may see it. There's different ways of looking at it. I'm not taking a side here. I'm not taking a side
You
here.
seem to see it as
I think a lot of maybe irreligious people will say this confirms what they think about Islam. It's violent or
if there are
aggressive.
death threats against James
Yeah.
based on words,
Some-
I would say that sadly that would feed into a prejudice that sees a religion that advocates some form of violence to
Yes.
protect its image,
But
whereas
Others will
the
see it.
state does quite a lot to promote the feeling that it's a religion of peace, and when its adherents are violent, that jars in your consciousness because
Right.
you're thinking, hold on a minute, it's supposed to be peaceful. It's like if a bunch of Tibetan Buddhists just decided to have a mass brawl in the pub. You're like, what's going on?
But Islam, in some ways, I'm not really knowledgeable at Islam, I've got to admit that, but Islam is a bit different from Christianity.
Definitely.
Well, in terms of forgiveness,
Jesus
it's not
died
as
for a start.
It will try to
in
defend itself
Christianity.
if it
Muhammad
gets
died
attacked.
too.
Yeah,
And Muhammad as a figure,
I think people do that generally. They
Yeah.
defend themselves if they're attacked.
If you notice,
course.
Ireland spent a long time defending versions of Christianity and money and land problems. It's much more complicated than just religion. But Christianity, there's no, even though there's forgiveness, praying for your enemies, blessing those who curse you, all of those things, there's still nothing that says you must be bullied or intimidated. That what is important within Christianity is the truth, and we are told that the truth is Jesus Christ. So insulting Christ in that way, which I've had Muslims tell me that Jesus effed his own mum because if Jesus is God and Mary was pregnant, even though the Quran says basically that God made Mary pregnant, like via this spirit or angel. So I've had,
But that doesn't-
I've had hugely offensive things said to me, but because I'm what we call a grown-up, I chose to take that offence and just go, oh, what an idiot.
yeah, that's
Like,
good.
literally.
That's the look. I agree.
threatening
I
anybody.
completely agree with you. That's the right way of interpreting things. But we need to think realistically on what are the consequences of our actions. On this specific regard,
Potential.
on what happened with between Jedi and Mohammed Hijab. Look, I don't really agree with the things Jedi does. I don't think he should have went to Ahmed Ali and started virtue signaling to him. But I definitely can't see it in any other way but to see that Mohammed Hijab was wrong in going to Jedi and trying to defend his Muslim brother who was in the wrong, who started it in the first place, who threw the first punch. It's absolutely impossible for me, to see it, to try to, sorry brother, seriously.
No, it's okay, no.
To see it in any way that I can defend Mohammed Hijab in this, because you need to regulate your guys.
Plus, when
If
you
your
you
guys,
say he was successful in that, it turned into a big viral video.
Yeah.
And it had lots
He
of
sent,
views
he sent
on
a
YouTube.
message to Muslims, not just in the UK,
What,
all around the world.
They're a
There's-
bunch of thugs, or that this guy
Well,
is
you
a
can
thug.
see- you can see it as
yeah,
well.
man,
You
I
can
mean,
see
the
it
guy
as a-
threw the first
Still
punch.
the deal
What
with
is
Christians,
personal
so
opinion,
it's
it's
not-
I think a lot of Muslims.
Yeah,
you see it from that
obviously. They
point of
wanted
view.
an
But
excuse
then
to get
Muslims will
something
see it,
going.
they defend
None
the
of them
brother.
wanted to fight on camera. None of them. Jedi wanted to virtue signal son of Ahmed Ali.
Because they want-
And Mohammed Hijab wanted to come here and be the champion of Islam. And, look, I'm inviting this evil man to a fight. He who punched our brother, Ahmed Ali. Did he?
He seems to be refuting
Who,
that, just
Mohammed
that-
Hijab called
that
Jedi
there was
boy? Or
violence
the other way around?
against,
Well, yeah, I
the
mean,
average-
I know, whatever you think, it appeared that way to a lot of
What
people.
an insult.
Okay.
I'm not supporting Mohammed Hijab.
10 out of 10 would
I'm
punch.
just saying what the opinion may be, because I've got a point of view, being that I'm Muslim myself. I know what how
Cisgender
Muslims may
male.
think. and how it appeared. And so a lot of
But look, I'm
Muslims-
kind of, I'm coming more. Let's go back to
Muhammad
James
has his own
and
channel that
the ripping of the Quran. Go ahead, bro.
He's got hundreds.
He said he was gonna rip up the Quran,
and he has got a big
perhaps,
audience. And a
Yeah,
lot of those
James,
people would be
to send a message,
encourage,
basically.
like what he did.
Look,
or appreciate what he did because they see
I
it as
don't
like
know.
he's
I don't
defending-
know about that. I don't think he
Islam itself
specified
is
it that
quite
much. He just said
tribal
something
religion.
about ripping up the Quran.
So if you do something like in the defense of that tribe, it's going to get applause. It's going to get applauded. I know you, as an outsider.
Yeah, look, James has been a thorn in the side of the Dawas for a very, very long time now. They don't want to speak to him because they know that they can't debate him. Because he knows things that they can't simply, fallacy their way out. They can't just, deviate from him because he actually knows the stuff he's talking about. That's why, Adnan won't talk to him. That's why other Dawas don't want to talk to him. They call him a hate preacher. They call him Islamophobe. They call him anything they want. Yeah, he's an extremist. He hates Islam. But you see, if he ripped the Quran, he would be seen by many, many Muslims out there, and we need to a certain extent consider their opinion. We don't need to care, not at all. I don't care about their opinion. But realistically thinking, I don't want to be caught in some dark corner by a random zealot and be stabbed to death. That's why I will never do that stuff.
Let me put it to you like this.
How he
My
orchestrates
grandparents'
conversations
generation within this
and
country
how
had
he,
a
when he has
huge
conversations
amount
with
of
atheists,
animosity and
he's
typically
very
dislike
clever at
for
debating them and
Japanese
framing the
people and
conversation.
German
I'm
Some of it
reminded
was,
about
Those germs.
Some of it was state funded, like
Well, I
propaganda
never
against
met-
them. Others were personal
Of course,
experience.
because of World War II.
Yeah.
as well.
So
was,
we,
yeah.
because of
You
their
need to hate your enemy or else you can't kill your enemy.
not in Christianity, but
We've
because
got
of their
the white, the extreme right,
potential
still
we
alt-right who
cannot
was supporting him.
advocate the discrimination of Germans
he was a
or
classic
Japanese
troll in
people.
a way.
We can't say we take
He
all
said
those
everything
hundreds
that
of
can't
thousands
be
of people's
said, and then
opinion
exposed
because they
exactly
may
what
be
you
hurt
can
if
and
we have a
can't say.
Japanese
that was too
It
much
was mainly the
the
black
health
people
service
who
in Britain.
completely
We
lost
can't
the plot
say,
when
we can't go
there's a
along
lot of
with
censorship.
anti-Japanese
Yeah,
sentiment
yeah.
because of their
Wasn't it?
well-founded
And,
potentially
I mean, I saw
we
one
can't
video
take
that
into
one
account
of
the
them
feelings
was
of
hitting
the
a bus
majority of people
after he got
because
on it.
democratically we
One guy
already
started
have taken
attacking
into
the bus,
account the
and
majority
then
of the people's
they're
feelings by
wandering
voting
back
for
here.
our governed,
And then they get into a
our
plot.
elected officials.
And
And if they
he's
stick
already
to
gone
their
by that point.
manifestos
And
in
it's like,
protecting freedom of speech,
he's
freedom of
just
expression,
completely
putting money
turned
into health,
everyone into a,
etc., racism,
like he's kind of,
or overly,
he's been playing that,
what's the word?
I guess
You
he's
admire
a
it.
bit master, isn't he?
Excessive
That's a
love.
new one.
Well, it's like Anglophilia. Excessive love for a race or
What
excessive
did he
dislike
achieve in the end?
can't be taken into
he's like-
consideration
he
because we
reminds me of
live
the
in a
Joker.
society
Right,
He's an agent of
that
chaos.
Yeah.
in that sense.
extols the
Because
virtue
he's
of
so,
equality,
and people
not
may think a little
diversity,
bit more about what he
equality.
did.
So, and
But he's
even
gone,
though they
he's
want
gone-
equality
he's
of
gone back to
outcome, which
Malaysia,
is
and what has he
silly,
achieved? What
equality of
legacy has he
opportunity
achieved?
is
He caused a lot of
fair and
chaos
rational
and he
position.
insulted a few
So
people.
if you have the
Right.
opportunity
And
to
he
burn
insulted
a book,
religion,
if you have the opportunity to jump
I mean,
off a
I
cliff,
guess
if
he
you have
works
the
as a
opportunity,
troll, but
you're a grown
what I
adult,
don't
and
like
unless
is
the
I
state says
prefer
you're
to have,
incapable of making decisions,
more,
the actions or
I suppose,
potential hurt
expansive
feelings of other
conversations.
people,
Oh no, it's okay, it's okay.
the potential hurt feelings,
Sure, we're
unfortunately,
away. Yeah,
even though we'd all love to go around with kid gloves on and make sure all the elderly people don't see a Japanese person, like basically we can't mollycoddle human adults. Like,
Look,
they
I
need to
agree,
be
I
involved
agree.
with reality.
Look, I can't disagree with that. As I myself, I follow the ideology that if you no look,
I'm joking.
this is not about victory between me and you. This is
No,
victory
I'm so
between
joking.
James
I think
and
we
the
agree.
and what he
You would
speaks
rather
about.
he didn't carry out those words.
Yes, because it
I
doesn't
would also rather he
it doesn't
didn't.
contribute
But I don't think
for the victory of
words-
his argument.
Yes, but I don't think the words in and of themselves deserve any physical repercussions.
Oh no, of course not.
So that's it.
Of course not.
I don't think anybody does.
But look, I said it and I say it again. I'm coming from the supposition that James actually went all the way and burned the Quran
But he would
or
have done
ripped
it
the
on camera,
Quran.
because what's the point otherwise? He said he would come here and do it. I didn't hear him say it, but I imagined, or just supposed, that he meant within Speaker's Corner. I don't suppose he meant I'm going to go home and do it and no one will know anyway. Like, what's the point in that? Because it doesn't get any... I don't say he's seeking publicity, but I'm saying that he publicly
Yeah,
said it.
another problem with this is siege mentality. When people will see their ideology
Get
getting
shopping,
attacked.
people.
What?
No, get shopping. Like
Get-
with the siege, you need to get the supplies in and make sure you're
Oh, okay.
plus the EU and all that.
Good one. But yeah, siege mentality is basically when people need an outside threat in order to unite
Yes,
about something. You know, I actually was around with when hijab had a conversation. We need an enemy to fight. We need somebody to unite against. Yeah, I was there on that video. It's on camera. It was pretty funny. Yeah. Then he pointed at me and said something like the kuffar, and I just laughed at him.
Oh, how charming! Though.
I know, right?
I love you.
No, you know,
He's a big softy
he has,
underneath.
no, he has some good arguments. He has sometimes some good
in
arguments.
some ways, after what I said about him, he's also harmed himself because now people that video will
Took
stay.
him seriously at one point.
But that video will stay there forever.
Definitely.
You know, and people can use if he ever wants to be in politics or anything like that.
Yeah.
They'll reference that video and they
for
will
sure,
say,
he's
this
never
guy's a
gonna-
thug.
If he
Yeah,
goes
some
for
ways,
George-
That's it, man. The same thing that hijab did on camera. I mean, James would do much with a much bigger magnitude if he actually ripped the Quran.
Yeah.
He wouldn't
Is
bring
it
out
James Goddard, is this, or is it
James-
another one?
James, the
Speakers
tall
called
guy.
That's it.
Cowboy
He
hats.
wears a
I
hat,
don't
he
know.
did a-
He speaks
What,
about
the
Islam very
American
often.
guy?
I don't know if he's
No,
American. I don't think he's
he's
Is he
American.
not?
British.
He doesn't sound American to me.
Okay. But he's the one with
What?
the whistle and the...
No,
James,
that's
the
somebody
tall
else.
guy,
okay.
skinny
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
who
yeah.
speaks about Islam.
Top 10 bad things in the Quran type thing. I've
Yeah.
no, definitely not him.
Yeah. But look, again, we need to think realistically about what will actually happen and about how
I
we
think
will
should
actually
form
organize
some
people.
sort of Soviet-style committee, hunt him down, pat him down for Qurans and matches. Let's not forget the inflammatory. Even though he said rip, we've all decided he was going to burn it anyway. And like, what are we going to do? Like, so yeah, I think we're exhausted.
Not about the words. Not about the words.
Great, because freedom of expression is like protected, especially in Speaker's Corner.
Not about the words. I said it many times. I keep
action.
saying this. It's
The
about
action.
if he actually went all the way
Let's
and
wait
burned the
till
Quran.
if he does.
I don't think he would gain a lot with it.
Okay,
I
gain
think his
some new
argument would become
friends.
weaker, first of all. So it's the same as when hijab is having a discussion with a person. Again, let's do another, and he invites that person for an MMA fight.
It's laughable.
He's admitting defeat. He's admitting defeat in the argument. He's saying, I can't win against you intellectually, so I'm going to invite you to an MMA fight so I can beat you
It's still-
physically.
He's already-
The fact is that his words.
If
are
James went the
reasonable.
physical way, it means that his words don't have enough punch
And
to debunk the
I
Quran.
understand your point, but what I'm saying is that until that happens, if it happens, we could also argue, what if a meteor hits West Ham Stadium this afternoon?
Okay, look,
Do you
but-
see what I'm saying? He hasn't done
Yes,
it.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
do you believe that he intends to do it? From your
I
knowledge
don't
of him,
think
'cause
so.
don't
I
really
spoke
know
to
him.
him. I don't think he intends to
This
do
could
it
have been a
anymore.
much shorter video. Than
No,
this. He
look,
could have just
it's
gone,
because
he's
look,
having
it's
it.
because we're talking. What you got like something
You can leave him. He's fine.
like some kind of a muff or whatever. We're talking about. I mean, at least I'm trying to talk about what if somebody doesn't even have to be James actually went all the way and burned the Quran. No, look, I would disagree with that person burning the Quran, but I would disagree with the people trying to physically attack that person
Okay,
because
so
of the
what
burning
if
of the
they burned it
Quran.
in their own house and nobody knows? Well, is
Nobody
it a
knew
bad
about
thing?
it.
Is a bad
Then it
thing or
didn't
a good
happen.
thing? Oh, okay.
Then it didn't happen. Nobody knows
I
about
think
it.
the
Nobody
thing is
finds out.
It's like
Is it
if
not-
you do drugs and no
Yeah,
one
yeah,
finds
No,
out.
look.
If you're shoplifting, you don't get caught. It's not
Yeah.
really.
No,
shoplifting,
look, it's not the
just,
same thing. If you kill a
borrowing.
person and nobody finds out,
It's still wrong.
yeah,
It's indoors
you don't
or
just buy a
outdoors.
person. I mean, you can buy a person, kind of.
Exactly.
It depends
So
on the
it's-
country where you live.
it's
Just buy a new
object-
one.
The actual crux of it is objects versus people, and the violence against people will always be wrong unless it's sanctioned by blah 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 blah. And destruction of one's own property. I don't mean that's why I brought up the distinction initially as to whether or not the Quran belongs to all Muslims, or whether once you purchase a copy, it's your property to do with what you want.
Of course it is,
Can
of
you
course it is.
highlight a Quran? Can you put pencil annotations in? Can you?
I put pencil annotations on mine.
I'm just saying.
Whoops.
Is it, I'm not asking.
Whoops! I guess I should go into hiding now.
I'm gonna say, one thing. As a child, when I was growing up as a Muslim, we were taught to respect the Quran. You're not allowed to touch it. You're supposed to clean yourself, wash
Yeah,
yourself.
Yeah, before
touching
grabbing the Quran.
Yeah, so we were raised to respect the Quran.
No highlighting.
And I think the thing is, the way you think, and you know, it's really quite an evolved way of thinking. There's a lot of people who may not be at your level. I'm not saying Muslims can't think in a respectful way, but there's a lot of emotional people out there, and some of them are crazy. They have mental health problems.
So then they deserve
And
to
some
be
of them are-
assisted by the state.
Yeah,
to
but
get
it's not.
well.
It doesn't always work like that. You know?
They deserve it. They deserve to be. No, but they deserve to be mentally balanced and happy, healthy, productive members of society. Nobody deserves to be depressed or schizophrenic, alone and afraid.
Yeah, and I mean, so, and if James did those sort of like, what would some people would say as quite an extreme action, he could. I worry that he's going to get harm. I don't know, whether it's right or wrong or whatever. I kind of like James a
I would
lot.
hope that those who may wish to do him harm or actually do him harm would be prosecuted.
Yeah,
I mean, most people
That's
know
it.
me.
Like, so basically, I'm not advocating. I think that people,
There's a
if
bunch
they've
of
got a
people.
grant, look after it. I don't believe in the burning or destruction of any books, to be fair. Old library books, I save them when they're, like, I don't want them to be thrown in the bin. I don't like the thought of burning books because it reminds me of the Nazis. Like, it reminds me of times
I
in
get out of the
history.
conversation, suddenly we're talking about the Nazis.
Book burning in general. Like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not a
the
fan.
Nazis burned,
Exactly.
made book burnings. That's why I don't think that book burnings are really an achievement of anything.
Some books deserve to be burned, such as Mein Kampf. Would you
don't
burn Mein
deserve-
Kampf?
I don't think any book deserves to be burned.
How-
Not
hang
even
on a minute, can I
satanic
just
books
ask-
or
What
whatever.
is
I'll tell you why. Whilst there are people out there who deny the Holocaust, and they exist, those people exist.
That's
Now,
it, you burn the
why
Mein
would
Kampf, you don't
burn
know what
Mein
happened,
Kampf
you erase history.
And then have a new generation of people who go, oh, but it didn't even happen. What, Hitler?
Yeah.
No, he's just a made-up guy. He didn't write it. Like, why would you erase people's words, however
That's it.
detestable?
What about the-
Why would you, let me finish, erase people's words, however detestable, if they can serve as admonition, as ammunition,
true,
as
yeah.
prohibition to certain belief systems, and that's why the right to ridicule and insult belief systems needs to be enshrined and protected, because I can ridicule him, he can ridicule me back, then we can both get a coffee and it's all okay. Like, ridicule is not a call to violence.